For generations, entrepreneurs built businesses in complete secret, behind a curtain. They launched products, they launched innovations in the market without a lot of fanfare. Nobody really knew who founders were because, frankly, they didn't want to be known. It's not like, 30 years ago, there was a whole bunch of people that were clamoring to know Michael Dell's morning routine for peak power performance, or understanding what Bill Hewlett and David Packard did for weekends, or where they spent their time with their families. People just didn't care. And then, in the late 1990s, with the advent of the dot-com boom, all that changed. A lot of pioneers in that internet age, from Amazon, from Yahoo, from eBay, all of a sudden started showing up on the front pages of newspapers and magazines and appearing in news reports as the technology they were developing started seeping into our day-to-day lives. And all of a sudden, it wasn't just sort of tech geeks that knew who Jeff Bezos was, but the housewives knew who Jeff Bezos was as well. In the subsequent 20 years, as you fast forward, you can honestly say that tech founders have become as famous and as celebrity-driven as world-class athletes or musicians or movie stars. I mean, think about it a couple years ago when Mark Zuckerberg came out with his vision of the metaverse, right? That was on the front page of all these portals and people were talking about it. There are actually 137 million people that follow Elon Musk on Twitter like starry-eyed fangirls. And streaming platforms have produced TV series on the founding stories of companies like Spotify, WeWork, Theranos, Uber, all of them creating a clear legend or story about the founding of those companies. So these rock star founders are front and center, so it's no surprise that we're well aware of their successes as well as their spectacular failures. And let's be honest, there's plenty of both. Guys like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg have created fundamentally huge companies that have redefined our lives. They are the gods of modern business, of pop culture. People like Adam Neumann of WeWork, or Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos, or Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX also started down that path, being hailed on the cover of Forbes as being the next big thing. Unfortunately, it turned out that they were frauds. Their illegal, their immoral behavior had hurt literally hundreds of investors and consumers alike. So you see these two parallel paths, and you have to ask yourself, how is it that these two sets of founders started down the same path but ultimately diverged and ended up in such different places? Why did their stories evolve differently? Now, you could easily say, well, there are simply honest founders and there are dishonest founders, but I think that's very simplistic. I actually think if you dig a little bit deeper, you will find there are very distinct differences in the decisions and the attitudes that these two sets of founders have. So what I'd like to do in the next 15 minutes or so is to, first of all, help you define what gods and frauds are together, but also explain what differentiates them. First, I'll talk about some of the qualities that they share that make them seem so similar. Then I want to talk about the differences. And what are the things that really differentiate those who are able to build long-standing, long-term sustainable businesses versus those who crash and burn. And finally, I want to take a few minutes to reflect on some of the lessons that you can learn from these stories so that you make your entrepreneurial journey as successful as possible, end up on the right side of history. And I'd encourage you to pay attention because there are some subtle differences that have a huge impact. So for your own sake, pay attention.